Welcome to the Graduate Student Seminar Series on Quick Tips for International Students, presented by the Center for Career and Professional Development. We are located on the third floor of Hendricks Student Center on the main campus. We can also be found online at career.clemson.edu and on social media at Clemson CCPD. During this workshop, you will learn the basics about the Career Center and a quick overview of resumes, cover letters, and interviews. After viewing this workshop, we invite you to watch our full-length videos on each of these topics. Who is the CCPD? The Center for Career and Professional Development, or CCPD for short, is comprised of 3 units: the Michelin Career Center, the University Professional Internship and Co-op Program, also known as UPIC, and the Cooperative Education Program. As a graduate student, your interaction with the CCPD will be primarily through the Michelin Career Center, as the other 2 programs are either exclusively or primarily for undergraduate students. Through the Michelin Career Center, we offer career counseling, experiential education opportunities, workshops, career fairs, networking events, employer events, and recruiting services. All services are available to graduate students as part of your student fees. And after graduation, we also serve alumni for 1 year. You can see in our mission statement that the word empower is highlighted. Our goal as a center is to teach students the skills they need to be successful for a lifetime, whether that skill is resume writing, interviewing, networking, how to obtain professional experience, and more. Statistics show that people will have, on average, between 10 and 15 jobs during their career. Our goal is to teach you the skills necessary to be successful in that environment. Remember the saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. And that is our philosophy in the center. Hopefully you are familiar with our 9 core career competencies. In addition to the career competencies, we also have the Learn, Act, Flex, Succeed cycle. There has been a lot of press about the skills gap, meaning employers do not believe college students are learning the necessary skills to be successful in the world of work. We believe it is more of an articulation of skills gap rather than students actually lacking the necessary skills. In an effort to help you understand what skills are important, we developed these 9 career core competencies. All events and resources from the center will be devoted to helping students understand, acquire, and articulate these 9 competencies. Think about the 9 competencies as the what we want you to learn, and the Learn, Act, Flex, Succeed as the how. You can start by learning something new, trying out what you learned, flexing if it fails, and looking for a new way until ultimately you reach success. Today's workshop will focus on communication, self-awareness, and brand. So who is available to help you with your career development? We have over 20 career counselors in the CCPD. All are able to assist you in your career development. In addition, we have an assistant director and a graduate assistant who provide promotion and outreach to the graduate student population. These individuals present the Graduate Student Career Workshop Series each semester. Where are they available to help you with your career development? We are located on the 3rd floor of Hendricks Student Center on the main campus, and we are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30. Or you can find us online at career.clemson.edu or social media at Clemson CCPD. Our main phone number is 864-656-6000, and our appointment line is 864-656-0440. When are they available to help you with your career development? During the fall and spring semesters, we offer drop-ins Monday through Friday from 1:30 to 4 p.m. Please see our website for summer hours. These are for quick questions and last 10 to 15 minutes. They are a great opportunity to briefly talk to a career counselor about one topic of interest. During the fall and spring semesters, we offer appointments Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon and 1:30 to 4 p.m. See our website for summer hours. These are great when you need to talk to a career counselor about multiple topics or you would like to spend more time discussing a topic. You must call ahead for an appointment, and they last 30 or 60 minutes, depending on the topic. For example, our mock interviews last 60 minutes. If you need help outside of our normal business hours, please check out our website at career.clemson.edu. Located on the resources page, you will find links to advice and handouts, workshops and videos, and additional resources and job searching sites. If you need last-minute interview help, you can also utilize the virtual mock interview system within Clemson JobLink. From our resources page, you will also find a link to the graduate student resources page. This page features information and links dedicated to graduate students. We provide basic access to a web resource called Versatile PhD. The intended focus of this site is to help educate PhDs and ABDs on non-academic career options. There are first-person narratives offered from those that have explored careers outside of the academy. When you visit the site, you choose to enter the STEM or the Humanities and Social Sciences path. This site posts jobs and hosts forums and meetups as well. Another useful resource for graduate students is GoinGlobal. Whether you want to apply to jobs internationally or are looking to relocate to another city within the U.S., GoinGlobal provides country and city guides that outline job resources, resume and cover letter advice specific to that country, cultural advice, financial considerations, and other information. You can search for jobs and internships by entering keywords and locations. The H-1B database provides listings of U.S. companies that have applied for H-1B visas in the past. This can help you target your search to specific companies that historically have been willing to provide sponsorship. If you want to learn more about using GoinGlobal, check out one of their student training webinars. Check out our career fairs and other events. The fall career fair is generally held in September. The spring career fair is generally held in late January or early February. We do offer some industry-specific career fairs as well. Also, check out our events page for exact dates and more information about our upcoming events and services. On this slide are additional campus offices that are available to help with your professional development. Let's get into resume writing. Remember, we have a full-length resume workshop available with additional details. You have to learn the rules of the game, and then you have to play better than anyone else. Albert Einstein. People are not born knowing how to write a resume. It is a learned skill. Let's first learn some terminology. In the U.S., a resume and a CV are two different documents with different purposes. In your country, you may use the term CV for the document that we call a resume. In the U.S., a CV is used for faculty positions and some research positions. For jobs within business and industry, you will use a resume. In the U.S., a resume is a concise summary of your work history and involvement. Your name is featured at the top of the document, listed as given name or your first name, then the family name. In other countries, it may be listed in the opposite way, family name, then given name. In the U.S., the length of a resume is 1 page max per degree. In other countries, length may not matter, as you may be required to list a full history rather than the highlights. In the U.S., a resume does not include a photo, date of birth or age, marital status, race, gender, religion, political affiliation, or your TOEFL score. Other countries may require some of this information. This is a good visualization of how we build our resume and cover letter. You will keep a document that lists all of your experiences, extracurricular activities, professional organization affiliations, honors and awards, presentations and publications, and so on. From this document, you will build a tailored resume for each position, featuring the experiences that are relevant for that position. Let's get into formatting the resume. Master's students can have 2 pages. PhD students can have 3 pages. Recruiters are happy with still seeing a 1-page document from both levels, if that's what you prefer. You want to fill the page and keep the eye moving from left to right and down the page. You can see on this slide that we placed a picture on the right side. That balances the slide and has your eye move across the content as it moves down. Margins can be 1/2 inch to 1 inch, equal on all sides. Your name should be the largest item on the page. We suggest between 14 and 16 point font. Everything else can be between 10 and 12 point font. You should use standard fonts on a resume. Avoid anything that looks like handwriting or cursive. Standard fonts are easily read by the human eye as well as applicant tracking software systems. And you can see from this slide that each font takes up a different amount of space on the page. Choose the one that best fits your design preference. If you are using a multiple page resume, you have to fill at least half of the second or the third page. If you are not, use the margin, font size, and font type tricks to expand or contract the information. On pages 2 and 3, add your name and the page number on the header in case the pages separate when printing. Consistency is key on resumes. Make sure you use the same format for each position and education listing. If you use months and year for one position, then use months and year for all positions. Check with your faculty mentors to see if there is an industry standard or preference for resumes. Our advice today is general and should be acceptable across all industries. Education should be near the top. However, after you work for many years, it may be more appropriate to have your experience first and education later in the document. We discourage the use of tables, boxes, and pre-programmed templates. These documents can be very difficult to edit and can become quite large and file-sized. If you have found a template that you like, try to recreate it on your own. Your resume is a chance for you to emphasize and validate your skills in written English. The interview will help validate your speaking skills. We also suggest that you maintain a resume in a format appropriate for your native language and country. This will make it easy to apply for additional positions if you have a resume ready to go. When reading resumes, recruiters will spend less than 10 seconds on the initial review. So make sure you satisfy both types of resume reviewers, the skimmers and the skeptics. Once your resume lands in the no pile, you will no longer be considered for that position. A skimmer will prefer that your resume have concisely written bullet point statements. They like one-line bullet points and want to see the bullet points listed in order of relevance for their position. So the most important skills and experience first, followed by the next most important, and so on. You have to grab their attention right away that you are qualified. Do not make them search for your relevant skills and experience. A skeptic might spend a little more time reading your bullet point statements. They prefer that your resume shows support for your experience and skills. This can be done by quantifying your experience with numbers, monetary values, and percentages. Show the impact you had on the position and the organization. On the slide, you can see examples that will satisfy both types of reviewers. To learn more about resume writing, please watch the full-length video on our website in the Graduate Student Resources section. Let's move on to cover letters. Here's our visual again. Remember that we took our document that lists all of our experiences and created a tailored resume from that. Now we will do the same for a cover letter. The cover letter is even shorter in length than the resume and is meant to highlight specific information from your resume. Cover letters serve as an introduction of yourself to an employer and accompanies your resume. It should state the purpose of your correspondence, for example, to apply to position XYZ at the company, your interest in the position, and a brief summary of your most relevant qualifications. In other words, a cover letter is the opportunity to illustrate to the employer the 2 or 3 most relevant and pertinent skills and knowledge gained from your past experiences that match those skills and knowledge desired from the position description and explains why you are the best candidate for the position. You should address the cover letter to a specific person whenever possible. You can use Dear Hiring Manager if you cannot locate a name. Cover letters are formal, professional writing. Keep them concise and to the point. Recruiters do not want your entire life story. Again, it is a quick summary of the most relevant experience you hold in relation to the position. It helps to tell the recruiter where to focus his or her attention when reviewing your resume. As with resumes, you should tailor each cover letter you write. Never send a generic cover letter. This slide shows several types of writing that you may provide to companies to illustrate your qualifications for a position. Each of these items represents your personal brand. If you are detail-oriented, creative, and meticulous when creating your own documents, then companies believe that will translate to how you will represent them once hired. Take a careful look at how you are communicating on your own behalf. Is it hurting or helping you? Adjust your behaviors when necessary so that you make a great first impression. On average, companies receive 118 applications for any given job posting. So unfortunately, you are not the only qualified applicant for the position. When it comes to deciding who will be offered an interview, other factors are important, such as word choice, tone, and your email and phone call etiquette. Make sure your documents are reviewed and listen to the feedback. It is very easy to miss a grammar or spelling mistake when you've looked at the document 50 times. Others may be able to give you valuable advice on wording or additional experiences you should highlight. Remember to include relevant experience and skills on the resume and cover letter. Be concise. As recruiters read your resume and cover letter, they are looking to mentally check off that you have the experience needed for the position. It is important to be polite during the job search process. Please and thank you can set you apart from others. Be sure to use the correct title when addressing individuals. If it is an academic position, you are likely addressing a PhD or a doctor. For female recruiters, we suggest using Ms., as it does not designate marital status. Also, do not assume the hiring manager is male based on the first name. For example, Alex can be short for Alexander, which is male, or Alexandra, which is female. Finally, watch your tone. Do not be demanding or impatient in your interactions with recruiters. Timely follow-up is appropriate, but constant phone calls and emails will not get you the job. Be mindful of people's time and schedules when you are requesting feedback. Language can also be a barrier, but please don't use it as an excuse. Come up to the Career Center or go to the Writing Center and let us help you review your documents. To learn more about cover letters, please watch the full-length video on our website in the Graduate Student Resources section. Let's move on to interview skills. It is very important to show off your knowledge of the company. Spend a significant amount of time on the organization's website, learning about its history, mission, values, and products and services. Research their name and reputation online to see what others are saying about the company. It can be helpful to know a little bit about the interviewer as well. Part of the reason for the interview is to see if your personality will fit in well with the company and the team. If you do a quick search on the organization's website for the interviewer's bio or look them up on LinkedIn, you might find some information that gives you common ground. Maybe you both went to the same university or researched similar topics or have similar hobbies. This can make the small talk at the beginning of the interview a little easier, or you can draw on your similarities later when answering questions. Be cautious though, as you don't want to seem like you know too much about them, as that can be a turnoff. Know yourself. What makes you the best candidate for the position? They may ask you that very question. How would you respond? Just like you tailored your resume and cover letter for the position, you have to do the same in the interview. Are you telling the right stories that convey that you have the needed skills and experiences to excel in the position? Think of 4 to 6 different examples that highlight a variety of soft skills and technical skills. One strategy I use when preparing for an interview is to try and predict the question that they may ask and then write out my response. These can be examples from previous work experiences, classroom projects, research, and extracurricular or volunteer activities. Let them see the whole you. Finally, practice, practice, practice. Make sure your stories or answers do not sound rehearsed. You can participate in a virtual mock interview through Clemson JobLink or come into our office for a 60-minute mock interview appointment. Think through the location of the interview and how you will get there. Do you have a car or do you need to find transportation? Take into consideration traffic and the length of the commute when making your plans for the interview. You do not want to feel stressed or frustrated from a bad drive into the company. Consider the financial logistics. Some companies do pay for travel related to the hiring process and some do not. It is okay to ask if there is a reimbursement program if the interview will cost a considerable amount of money. For example, if you have to purchase a plane ticket, book a hotel room, and pay for a day of transportation. In American culture, it is very important for you to arrive a few minutes early to an interview. We suggest 10 to 15 minutes early. Being on time can be considered late by some interviewers, and arriving after the interview start time is never acceptable, and it may cause the interview to be canceled and you to no longer be considered for the position. Remember, you are not the only qualified applicant, so you have to make the best impression you can during every stage of the job search process. The interviewer should provide you with a basic outline of the interview schedule and the style of the interview. Is it telephone, Skype, or in person? Is it on campus or at their location? If they do not provide this information, you should ask. Knowing the length of the interview and the style of the interview will help you prepare and feel more confident. Let's talk about our rules of 12 for a minute because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So think about the first 12 steps you take when your name is called. Is your posture and demeanor confident? Think about the first 12 words you say. Were they negative or positive? You always want them to be positive. Even if you had the worst trip into their office, do not tell them that. For the first 12 inches of your arms, avoid a lot of jewelry, especially noisy bracelets. Interviews are a time when less is more. Make sure your hands and nails are clean and well groomed. If you have tattoos, you may want to wear a long sleeve shirt in case the company has a conservative culture. And then ensure that the length of your sleeves is not too short or too long. For the top 12 inches, make sure your hair is clean and groomed. Check that nothing is in your teeth and that your breath smells fresh. Women should go conservative on makeup and make sure that your shirt is not too revealing. Men should make sure your tie is tied correctly and straight. For the bottom 12 inches, your shoes need to be clean and appropriate to the interview setting. Make sure the length of your pants is not too short or too long, just as with your sleeves. For women who wear skirts, do the sit test and make sure the skirt does not become too short when sitting. There are some other items to keep in mind too. First is your handshake. Please practice shaking hands with a friend or colleague. Ask them if your handshake is too firm or too weak, too long or too short. A good rule of thumb is to try and match the web of your hand, so the area between your thumb and index finger, with the web of his or her hand. That will ensure that you get a nice grip. Remember to stay positive and happy in your greeting. This is a good time to show off a little bit of your personality. Also, treat everyone you meet with the same level of respect, whether they are the receptionist or the CEO. Many recruiters will ask others in the office about your demeanor. Please refrain from wearing too much perfume or cologne and from smoking before an interview. Many people have allergies or are sensitive to intense smells. You should even wear a little extra deodorant that day to combat the extra perspiration that we all get when we are nervous. You do not want your interviewer to be focusing on the smell in the room and not on your skills. Also, if you check your breath and realize you could benefit from some freshening, please do not use gum. Instead, bring a small container of mini mints or Tic Tacs that can be eaten quickly. Finally, pay attention to your overall body language and your attire. Are you giving off skills that you are are you giving off signals that you are bored, upset, uninterested, or are you signaling that you are friendly and excited for this opportunity? Sit up straight in your chair. Avoid fidgeting and exaggerated use of your hands when talking, and try to maintain eye contact with the interviewer 70% of the time. Nonverbals are as important as how you are answering the questions. For your attire, dress according to your industry. When in doubt, a conservative, well-fitting suit is appropriate for both men and women. Most interviews will follow the same basic structure: opening the conversation and building rapport with some brief small talk. The company may take this opportunity to also give a brief overview of the position and the company as a whole. The bulk of the interview is spent exploring your qualifications with skills. This is your opportunity to showcase your education, skills, abilities, goals, and experience. It is your job to sell yourself as the best fit for the position. When we discuss how to prepare for the interview, I suggested coming up with 4 to 6 examples that tell your story in relation to the position. This is when you put them in action. Include a mix of soft skills and technical skills when answering questions. Make sure you also always answer the questions fully. If it is a 2 or 3-part question, it is okay to ask them to repeat the question so that you ensure you answer all parts. The interview will wrap up with an opportunity for you to ask questions. Always ask questions. Prepare 3 to 5 questions that will clarify the position and help you decide if you would accept the position, if offered. If this is a second round interview, the questions should differ from the first round. And if you will be interviewing with multiple people or groups separately, prepare questions that are suitable to each group. 1 set of questions for a search committee, 1 set of questions for a supervisor, and another set of questions for the potential coworkers that you would be working with, for example. The interviewer is likely to close with providing a timeline of next steps. If they do not, you should ask. When answering questions, make sure you are believable, positive, and confident. If your experience is at the level of an intern, then don't make it sound like you were the CEO. If they ask a question related to a previous employer, don't answer negatively. They are looking to see if you speak poorly about previous employers. If you do, then you are likely to speak poorly about them, so they will not want to hire you. Be confident in your answers. Let them see the whole picture of you and why you are the best fit for the company. Organizations are bound by local, state, and federal anti-discrimination laws in hiring. If you are asked questions specifically related to marital and family status, race, color, national origin, religion, sex, which includes pregnancy, gender identity, and sexual orientation, age, disability, or genetic information, you have 3 options when answering. First, you can answer the question as it was asked. However, that provides the employer with information that they could use to discriminate against you in the hiring process. Second, you can provide a tactful answer. In this situation, consider the intent behind the question and how it may relate to the job. For example, you may be asked if you are married and have children because the position requires considerable amount of travel. What the interviewer is actually trying to determine is if you have the ability to meet the travel requirement of the position. Rather than answer that you are married with kids, or vice versa, you can say something like, I understand that this position requires weekly overnight travel. I am able to meet that requirement. You answered the intent of their question without providing the information that could be used to discriminate against you. The third option is to refuse to answer the question. In the previous example, you could answer something like, I'm uncomfortable answering questions related to my marital and family status. I am able to meet the travel requirements of this position. The interviewer will move on at that point. Some students volunteer information related to illegal questions on their resume by including work experiences or extracurricular activities that indicate their status. For example, if you are heavily involved in volunteering at a religious organization, an employer will assume that you are of that practicing religion. For some individuals, those activities are an important part of their identity, and they prefer to list them. That is a personal choice and okay to do as long as you understand that you have volunteered information that an employer is not allowed to ask about during the hiring process. As an international student, you do need to understand your work authorization and be able to communicate it to an employer. You do not need sponsorship on day one of the job, as you are generally authorized to work for a certain length of time post-graduation through the use of OPT. Sponsorship is a time-consuming and expensive venture for organizations. If they refuse to offer sponsorship, they will generally tell you that before you reach the interview stage. This workshop is an introduction to the job search process in the United States. Please watch our other workshop videos for detailed information on each step in the process. We also offer short videos on a variety of career topics through Career Spots. These are located on the resources page. Check them out when you have time. Thank you for viewing our workshop. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to call us at 864-656-6000 or come in for drop-ins or an appointment.